Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Secure the Seat Live. I am your host, Minda Hart. How are you today? I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Put it in the chat. Let me know how your weekend was. If you're watching this live here on LinkedIn, welcome, welcome, welcome. If it's your first time, listen, you're in for a treat. But if you've been walking with us for years now, you're part of the squad, you're part of family. Even if this is your first time, you're already part of the family. So just settle in. Let us know how the weekend was for you. If you're watching this after the fact, still chime into the chat. Today, I'm calling today's show a heart to heart. Sometimes I do these every now and then where I just want to talk to you all and have some family time, you know, just some time where we get to chat. So, first of all, tell me how your day is going. I'm having some issues because I have some things going on at my house. And unfortunately, my dog has to be in the room with me today. So my nerves are at about a 3. So Boston, my dog, he turned 9 this weekend. So he's still feeling like he can be barking at me over the weekend. I let him, be the man this weekend. And now he wants to continue using his voice in all the wrong ways. So I apologize ahead of time. Come here, Boston. Here. And ahead of time, because if anybody is a pet parent, you already know the vibes. And for me, I have spoiled him his whole life, and I am now trying to create boundaries. And it's a very arduous process. Okay. So anyway, again, thank you for meeting up with us. Majority of you are watching us on LinkedIn Live. Make sure that you tag somebody. Today, I want to talk to you all about who we say we are, right? Because there's so many narratives around us. Us meaning people of color, women of color, however you might identify. If you have a disability, people love to create a narrative that we didn't co-sign to, right? The question that I'm going to ask you today, and we're going to have just a heart, short and sweet conversation, is who do you say you are? So if somebody asks you who you are, how do you answer? Drop it in the chat. I want to know. What do you normally say? I don't know about you, but I do a lot of speaking engagements, and it's always a really funny, odd thing, but humbling thing when people read my bio, right? The bio is kind of the things that people say you are, right? Or the things that you've accomplished, but who do you say you are? And the reason why I asked this question today is because I think we have to get really clear on who we are so that we know what it is we want going forward. There's so many different things happening in the world today, and I think it's so important that we live our not now this is going to say sound cliche, but we live our best lives according to what we want, what we say, right? Life is not slowing down for any of us, okay? So the question that I'm asking you all is who do you say you are? Because here's the thing, there's things that our mothers said that we were, there's things that your father, your grandmother, an old boss, right? I remember an old manager of mine would always say that I'm incompetent. He would say that, and out of the second breath, he would be inviting me on his team, giving me projects because he knew I would finish them and do them well, and I used to hold on to that, knowing darn well I was very competent. But sometimes we hold on to what other people say we are. So in regards to women of color, people of color, women, sometimes they say that we're feisty. Sometimes they say we are aggressive, right? Sometimes they say we are mean, we're unapproachable, right? These are some of the narratives that people have said about us, right? I know for me, I was always afraid of when I was in my 9 to 5 of never coming off as the angry Black woman. But there was never a time at work where I was ever angry, right? I was always walking on eggshells, trying not to participate in this narrative that I had no part of creating, right? But this is what people have said many of us are, right? And so for me, as we think about going through the week, who do you want to be? Who do you say you are? Not what somebody else said you are, okay? Tag somebody in the chat because somebody needs to be reminded on who they say they are, right? What are the words that are affirming, uplifting, right? These are important things to us. Who do I say I am? I am Minda. I am an author, I am a writer, I am a sister, I sit at a lot of different intersections, but I'm going to never let you say anything other than calling me a child of God, right? Regardless of anything else. And I think it's so important for us to understand. Maybe you got laid off last month. That doesn't define you, right? Maybe you might have lost your home a few years ago. That doesn't define you, right? Maybe you made some mistakes when you were 21. That it doesn't mean that's who someone else might say you are, but who are you today? Who are you right now? And so as we go into this week, again, I just want you to reflect on, who do I say I am? Regardless, right? Someone might say that I'm not ready for this role. That's not what I say about myself. I'm ready, right? So this week, as you go into the week, think about who you say you are, okay? Because this is very important. Our self-talk, we do affirmations, and we don't do them just because they're cute at the end of the show. We do them because we have to remind ourselves. Sometimes we're in rooms that nobody's filling our cup, right? If you're just joining us, I apologize right now because my dog is cutting up in the background, and we are in the same room together today because that's just what today offers. And I apologize to you ahead of time, but this is where we are. And today he wants to show out. And there's not enough treats that are working in his favor. Here, Boston, here. So who do you say you are? Again, so a couple things I want you to think about as you're thinking about it. Maybe you're not sure, right? Maybe you aren't sure who you are right now. And so I want you to think about it. I want you to write it down because this is the homework, right? Many of you might not know I teach at NYU. And I want you to think about who you say you are. That is your homework, right? Again, I don't care what somebody said about you yesterday. That might not have been in alignment with who you say you are. So it's very, very, very important. So here's the thing. 3 things I want you to think about today is no longer acknowledging a narrative that you did not co-sign to. I'm going to say it again. No, this week, I do not want you to acknowledge a narrative that you did not co-sign to, okay? Because if somebody is not affirming you, if somebody is not uplifting you, they're not speaking life into you, then why would we take somebody else's baggage? If somebody's saying this thing about us that is not true to who we say we are, then we are no longer going to acknowledge a narrative that we did not create, right? We're not going to uphold somebody else's baggage about us, right? So that's number 1. No longer acknowledge a narrative you did not co-sign to. Number 2, hold on one second. Okay. Number 2, I'm only accepting words that are affirming to me. Okay? I'm only accepting words that are affirming to me. So we can dismiss anything that is not affirming us in the moment, right? And so that is very, very important. So again, we're going back to number 1, no longer acknowledging a narrative you didn't create or co-sign to. Number 2, I'm only accepting words that are giving life to me. Number 3, we're not going to allow anybody to box us in, right? How often are people boxing us in? Telling us that we can only do a certain thing. You might have been an accountant for the last 20 years. And so they only think that you can do the numbers, right? But it's yes, and I can do the numbers and I can do other things, right? Don't allow people to box you in. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So maybe some of you might follow me on other platforms. I'm not sure. But I've been talking about, I'm in the process of getting ready to write a 4th book. And I'm excited about this book because if you are not unaware, I have 3 books out: The Memo, Right Within, and You Are More Than Magic. And my 4th book, I want to step away from the things that I have been writing about for the last few years, right? I've been writing about women of color in the workplace, which is still very important to me. It will always be the center of my work. But I want to write a pure business book that's inclusive for everyone. And I want to take my audience that have rocked with me from the first book to the last book. You might have only read one book, you might just listen to the podcast, whatever it is. But there are certain people who want to box me in that say, Minda, you've built this career on women of color in the workplace. I said, yes, but I also want to write other things. If Brene Brown could write for everybody, if Adam Grant could tweet for everybody, if Simon Sinek can write for everybody, why can't Minda Harts write for a business book, a pure business book, right? Helping the workplace. The lessons and stories that I tell in my books are transferable to other areas of life, work life, right? And so I'm saying, I'm not going to let you box me in. I'm going to write about other things too, right? I'm not a one trick pony. Okay. And so part of who people say you are, yes, I have been the voice of women of color in the workplace, but I also sit at other intersections. I'm multifaceted. There's other things I have to say. There's other things I want to do. And you know what? I was having a meeting about this and I said, my community, they're going to come with me because we're growing. I have other things to talk about, right? I'm not going to just keep pounding this one thing when I know that there's other areas that I can also breathe life into. If I was trailblazing in one space, I can do it in another, right? And so I want you all to think about that too. Do not let anybody box you in this week. They can only see you through a certain lens. In 1903, W.E.B. Du Bois talked about double consciousness, us seeing ourselves through the eyes of someone else. We no longer have to do that. We don't have to see ourselves through the eyes of someone else because we have our eyes, right? We have eyes. Even if you are visually impaired, we have eyes, right? Through our heart, through our soul, through our mind, we're able to see ourselves the way we need to see ourselves, right? I see myself through a lens of growth. I see myself through a lens of expansion. I see myself through a lens of abundance, right? I don't have to hold tight to this one thing, right? You think about back in the day, there was, Motown artists, and, they would make the reference that these folks would be on the Chitlin circuit, that they could only be in certain areas in the South. They can only perform to a Black audience, right? Only because that's the box that people put them in, that there was segregation, right? But then think about when they were able to play in front of large crowds, integrated crowds, how much more they were able to impact music, right? And so I just want you to remember that you are your best thing. You are your best thing. And so the question that I started asking today is, who do people say you? Here's the thing. There's things that people will say you are, but who do you say you are? And I want you to remind yourself of that this week and write it down, speak life into it, put some sticky notes if you need to, okay? So here's the thing. I'm glad that you're resonating with it. I see people on Twitter. I see people on here on LinkedIn. I see people on Facebook and YouTube. Who do you say you are? I don't give a darn if your manager emails you in the next 30 minutes and comes at you sideways about something else. Who do you say you are? So even when people are saying the thing, reminding ourselves who we are. I want to read a couple of little things to you just to remind you who you are. And I don't know about you, but I love a good quote. So I have a few quotes that I want to share with you just to kind of wrap this conversation up. One of my favorite authors and activists, Audre Lorde, she says, I am deliberate and afraid of nothing. Be deliberate this week. Who do you say you are? And don't be afraid. Even when others have boxed you in, put the wings on, you get to fly, you get to grow. Next thing, Hattie McDaniel, she said, I did my best and God did the rest. We may not know what else is in store for the rest of the week, but as long as we do our best, as long as we show up for ourselves, right? Even if others cannot show up for us, we can show up for ourselves. Angela Davis said, we have to talk about liberating minds as well as liberating society. Liberate your mind today. If you've been holding yourself back, right? Maybe it's other people aren't putting you in a box. Maybe you're putting yourself in a box. And if you've been saying things about yourself that are not affirming, let's create a new narrative. Who do I say I am? Who do I want to be? Right? If I haven't been the things that I wanted to be, who do I get to be today? Who do I want to be today? Right? We get to start over. That is a blessing. Um, our our mother of all mothers, Oprah Winfrey, she said, I have a lot of things to prove to myself. One is that I can live my life fearlessly. My word of 2023 is fearless. We get to do that. Again, maybe some people have said certain narratives about you, but who do you say you are? Right? I get to live fearless. I don't have to live in scarcity. I don't have to live in fear. I can live fearlessly. And lastly, I don't know if any of you follow her work, but I love, love, love her work. I have the strength to touch where it hurts. I will tell my pain it's safe to heal. Alex Ailey. I think that's how you say her name, or Ale, maybe. Maybe you all, I think it's Ailey, but I'm not sure. But her last name is spelled Alle. But she says, I have the strength to touch where it hurts. I will tell my pain it's safe to heal. And I say that to you because um, sometimes we've been told a lot of things in our lives, and it hurts and it causes pain. And so I'm letting you know that it's okay to heal. People might have said things about you, but you get to say the best things about yourself. And I just want to remind you that you get to change the narrative on yourself at any time. Anytime. I'm not saying lie to ourselves. I'm saying speak life into ourselves. So if that resonates with you today, put a 1 in the chat. Thank you for being patient with me today as I am in transition today, and me and Boston Hearts are in the same room today, and he wants my attention, and he's finally calmed his nerves. Praise the good Lord. So I'm going to bring Mike to the stage because we're going to close out with our April affirmation. I cannot believe that this month is almost over. And the other thing I want to remind you is that if you're following me here on LinkedIn, or if you're not, please follow me on LinkedIn at Minda Hearts. Today we have book club. I started a Secure the Seat book club where we read a new book each month. And today we have book club at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we're reading my book, You Are More Than Magic. Now, it's a young adult book, but many of us work with Gen Z. Many of us may even report into them one day. We might have children. Let's be allies to them. And so I'm going to have Mike drop the link inside the chat to join us. Even if you haven't read the book, join the conversation, okay? You Are More Than Magic tonight. We're having the book club read. And then as Michael's doing that, it's his birthday on Wednesday. He doesn't know that I was about to say this. So when Mike gets on the screen, give Mike some early birthday love. And in honor of just my brother, he's my youngest brother. He will always be my baby. I get the privilege and pleasure of working with him each and every day. And it's just a blessing. And so he has an affirmation book out for his birthday. If you could go to his website, go to Amazon and purchase that affirmation book. We'll put it on the screen here. That would be awesome. Michael, get your buns to the stage. How are you, brother?
Minda, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How's the morning? How's the afternoon treating you?
Everything is good. How are you?
I'm better now that your nephew is being quiet. Who do you say you are, Mike?
I think that's important. I think we get lost in what people think of us, both good and bad. And people always have an opinion about you. And normally people, when they first meet you, they develop some sort of opinion. You're that type of person, or um, I've met somebody like you, but you're uniquely you. Nobody has been made like you. You're created for a purpose and a reason. There's nobody like you. There's nobody who can speak like you. There's nobody who talks like you. There's nobody who looks like you. Nobody has the same wisdom as you and the same knowledge. They don't bring the same things to the table. So you have to understand that God made you uniquely you, and you have to walk in that. And if you work slow, or you work fast, or you work at a fast pace, or you talk fast, or you talk slower, or you're younger or you're of a certain age, wherever you're at, you're perfect for who you're perfect for. You're not for everybody, but you're for a group of people or somebody, but you are somebody because you are uniquely you. And we all have to understand that for sure. I love the conversation today.
Me too. So give us it's perfectly in alignment with what our affirmation is. Hit them on the head with April's affirmation as we close out this month.
Absolutely. So, our affirmation for April is I value and hold to the relationship with myself. I value and hold to the relationship with myself. Um, we work on every other relationship. We work on pushing relationships with people sometimes who don't even like us, with people who have proven to us that we're a last resort. We're a weekday friend. We're not a weekend. We haven't graduated to the weekend. We associate with people who text us and call us and tweet us when they're bored. We'll work on every other relationship but the relationship with ourselves. And one of the things we have to understand is the relationship with yourself will reflect all the other relationships. Like if you have a healthy relationship with yourself, it'll show up in all the rest of the relationships because you'll associate with people who also love themselves and people who love you at the same level. And I guess we're all having where this is one of those days where phones are ringing, dogs are barking, but the relationship with yourself is the most important, because if you can't love yourself, if you can't take time with yourself, if you can't understand when you are tired or when you're weak or when you're happy or what things make you sad. I know one of the things that I encourage people to do when I coach them is if you have certain pictures on your wall and stuff that you get tired of looking at, take them down. If you're tired of your room being dirty or something, clean it up. If you're tired of the trunk of your car, you being sad every time you lift it up, take time to do those little things that show self-love and self-reflection. Stop working on all the other relationships and start working on yourself simultaneously while you're pleasing everybody else. So yes, Minda.
Whew, that is a tambourine moment, brother. We have to do that. Listen, who do you say you are? Who do you say you are? Not what your partner said you were last night, not what some bully from 12th grade said you were, some, anything. If it's contrary to who you know you are, just don't even acknowledge it. Don't even allow it to take space in your mind anymore, right? I know it's easier said than done, but we get to choose. And that's like the beautiful thing about life, right? We get to choose what we accept and what we reject. And anything that's not hitting the way it needs to make you feel good and affirmed this week, don't even acknowledge it. We're not acknowledging it. We're not holding on to anybody else's burden. We don't get paid to do that. I know I don't. I don't know anybody else who does. But think about what the affirmation is for the month. Hold true to that. Hold true to who you know you are, who you want to continue to grow to be. Don't let anybody box you in. They don't see the vision, okay? And we can't allow people who don't see the vision for us to speak into our life, because it can be very detrimental. And I love what Mike said is, listen, if the picture's on the wall, if you can't follow certain people anymore online, they're making you feel bad, you hate getting into your dirty car, do something different about it today, right? Something about me is I hate dishes in the sink, even if it's one, right? So why would I keep letting anything pile up that's not making me feel good, right? Do something about it today. It's a choice. Healing is a choice. Boundaries are a choice. And so, Mike, do you have any final things you want to share?
I like what you said, Minda. We have more choices than what we think. We oftentimes pick the things that we can't control and go, this is my life. But there's so many things we can control. There's so many little things that we can control. The cleanliness around us, the people we surround ourselves with, the people we socialize with, certain words out of our mouth. One thing that we can control is what we say and what we speak over ourselves. And so we can't focus so much on all the outside factors, but there's some things we can control, and let's do that and let's speak those things.
Yes, woof, I love it so much. Listen, thank you for joining Secure the Seat each and every Monday. It means a lot. I've been doing the podcast since 2018. I started doing the live show on LinkedIn in 2018. I'm sorry, in 2020 at the start of the pandemic. I felt like today was like pandemic vibes. I remember being on and things are not working. Dog is in the background barking. People are walking past me in the house. I'm feeling, but I think we got what we needed out of today's episode regardless. So thank you for, that's why we had a heart to heart today. We didn't have no guests. we just talking. And sometimes that is what we have to do regardless of some of the things that are going on in the background. But I just want you to have a great week. I want you to have the sweetest week ever. Be kind to yourself. If you can, join us tonight for book club. We're going to be discussing You Are More Than Magic. If you have any young adults in your life, you need to be at the book club tonight, even if you haven't read it. Get this book, read it. I have a lot of adults that have read it, and they're like, ooh, this is talking to my young adult self. So join us tonight. And again, happy birthday, Michael. We wish you nothing but the best as you go into this next year. Let it be the best year, and continue to say who you are to you, who you are to your boys. And again, keep securing your seat, and we'll see you next week. Take care.